The Grand War Hall of the alien empire was filled with noise and light. Massive banners of victories hung from the tall ceiling, each one telling a story of battles won across the stars. Alien war heroes, tall and armored, filled the seats, their glowing eyes fixed on the center platform where new warriors were about to arrive. For centuries, these aliens believed themselves to be unmatched in skill, strength, and courage. But tonight, they would see something that none of them were prepared for. The announcer, a commander with silver skin and sharp ridges across his forehead, raised his voice. From the most dangerous planet in the galaxy, from the world that breeds monsters stronger than our weapons, I present the Deathworlders. The doors opened slowly, with a deep metallic echo that silenced the entire hall. From the shadows, humans walked in. There were only 6 of them, but the air changed the moment they entered. The aliens had expected weak bodies, fragile bones, and nervous steps. Instead, they saw calm eyes, steady movements, and a strange energy that made the hall colder. The leader of the humans was a young woman with sharp eyes and a quiet face. Her body was not the largest, not the heaviest, but her presence was heavy like a storm waiting to break. Beside her, a tall man with scarred arms walked like a predator, his boots hitting the floor in a rhythm that made even the alien generals shift in their seats. The alien soldiers whispered among themselves. "Are these the humans?" one asked. "They look ordinary," another replied, but their voices carried doubt, because deep inside they felt the difference. These were not ordinary beings. These were children of a death world. The young woman raised her head and scanned the hall. Her eyes met the gaze of a famous alien war hero, a giant with a plasma spear. The alien expected fear in her face, but he found none. Instead, he felt like prey under her gaze, and he looked away first. A murmur spread through the crowd. It was the first time anyone had seen one of their strongest soldiers avoid a human's eyes. The commander stepped forward again, trying to control the atmosphere. "Deathworlders, you stand before the greatest army in the galaxy," he declared. "You will prove if your legends are true, or if they are nothing but myths." One of the alien war heroes laughed loudly. His armor clanged as he stood, towering above the humans like a mountain. "I will face one of them now," he said, pointing at the scarred man. "Let us see if a fragile Deathworlder can last even a minute against a true warrior." The hall erupted with cheers. The aliens believed this would be a short fight. They expected the human to fall quickly, crushed under the power of a warrior who had defeated 100 enemies in battle. The scarred man stepped forward without hesitation. He removed nothing, carried no weapon, and showed no fear. He simply rolled his shoulders and looked at the alien like a hunter looks at prey. That single look silenced the crowd again. The duel began with a thunderous sound as the alien charged. His plasma spear glowed bright as he swung with the strength of 10 men. The human moved only a little, just enough for the weapon to miss by inches. Gasps filled the hall. The alien attacked again, faster this time, his spear cutting the air with deadly speed. But the human stepped aside, his movements calm, controlled, like he had faced such danger 1,000 times before. And then, with one motion, the human struck. A simple punch, nothing glowing, nothing advanced. But when his fist landed on the alien's chest, the massive warrior stumbled back, coughing. The hall froze in shock. The alien had not fallen, but the impossible had happened. He had been pushed back by bare human strength. The scarred man did not smile, did not celebrate. He simply lowered his hand and waited. The alien war hero roared in anger and attacked again. But every strike met only empty air. The human's reflexes were sharper, his instincts faster. It was like watching a predator play with its prey. Finally, the human ended the fight with one move. He grabbed the spear mid-swing, twisted it, and snapped it in half with his bare hands. The weapon cracked like glass, its energy fading as the human dropped the pieces onto the floor. The alien warrior fell to his knees, defeated and humiliated. Silence filled the war hall. Not one alien soldier spoke. Not one dared to laugh now. The young woman stepped forward, her voice quiet but carrying through the hall. "We are Deathworlders," she said. "We do not come here to play games." The aliens looked at her with wide eyes. Some felt fear, some felt respect. But one truth became clear to all of them that night. The legends of Deathworlders were real, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The war hall remained silent after the shocking defeat of the alien warrior. No one dared to speak, no one dared to laugh. The scarred human stood calm, his chest rising and falling slowly, as if the fight had been nothing more than a simple walk. The alien champion knelt on the ground, broken spear beside him, gasping for air and trying to understand how a human had bested him so easily. From the high seats above, alien generals whispered among themselves. "How could this be?" one demanded. "He is only human. They should be fragile. They should be weak," another insisted. But their words were thin against the heavy truth in the hall. They had all seen it with their own eyes. A single human had shaken the pride of the galaxy's greatest soldiers. The young woman leader of the humans took a step forward. Her eyes glowed with quiet confidence, and when she spoke, her voice cut through the air like a blade. "This was not a trick," she said. "This is what it means to be a Deathworlder." The alien commander with silver skin raised his hand to restore order. His voice echoed against the steel walls. "One duel proves nothing," he declared. "We are the might of the stars, and humans must face a true test before their legends can be believed." The hall roared with approval. Alien soldiers pounded their fists against the tables, their voices calling for another trial, another fight. The humiliation of one warrior could be dismissed, but not if it happened again. And so the commander announced the next test. The humans would face not one, but 3 alien war heroes at once. Gasps filled the chamber. This was no ordinary challenge. These 3 were legends of countless wars, soldiers who had fought against entire fleets and returned victorious. Their names were carved into stone across alien worlds, their victories sung in every military academy. They rose now, massive in armor, weapons glowing with lethal power. The crowd cheered as if victory was already theirs. 3 against 1 human would surely erase the shame of the first duel. The scarred man stepped back, but before he could move forward again, the young woman raised her hand. "I will face them," she said, her voice steady. The humans behind her nodded without hesitation, as if they had expected this. The scarred man gave no protest, only a silent nod of respect. The aliens laughed, some in relief, others in mockery. A single human woman against 3 of the galaxy's finest warriors seemed like madness. But as she walked forward, her steps calm, her face unreadable, even the bravest alien soldiers felt unease. There was something in her silence, something in her gaze that felt more dangerous than weapons. The battle platform lit up, a circle of glowing light surrounding the fighters. The 3 alien war heroes spread out, surrounding her with spears, blades, and energy shields. The commander shouted, "Begin!" The first alien charged, spear aimed at her heart. The crowd leaned forward, waiting to see blood spill. But in a blink, she moved, her body twisted like flowing water, and the spear missed. Before the alien could recover, she struck his arm with a precise blow. The spear clattered to the floor, useless. The second alien came from behind, his blade humming with deadly energy. She spun, her hand catching his wrist before the blade could fall. With a twist and a kick, she sent him flying across the platform. The audience gasped. It was not brute force, it was speed, reflex, and perfect control. The third alien tried to trap her with a shield, pressing forward like a wall of metal. But she leaped higher than any alien had expected, landing behind him with silent grace. Before he could turn, she pushed his legs, dropping him to his knees. 3 alien war heroes, defeated in less than a minute. The hall fell into silence again. The generals stared in disbelief. The soldiers clenched their fists, torn between anger and awe. The woman stood tall, breathing slow and steady, as if the fight had not even touched her strength. She spoke again, her words soft but heavy. "Do you understand now?" she asked. "Deathworld does not create fragile beings. It creates survivors, predators, and legends." The defeated aliens struggled to rise, shame burning in their eyes. For the first time in living memory, the galaxy's most celebrated warriors had been humbled before a crowd. And the ones who humbled them were not gods, not monsters, but humans. The hall trembled not with cheers, but with silence. Because in that silence, every alien soldier felt the same chill. If a single human woman could defeat 3 of their greatest warriors at once, what could an army of humans do? The answer settled in their minds like cold fire. The galaxy had feared Deathworlders as myth, but tonight they saw the truth. The legends were real, and the legends were terrifying. The war hall remained heavy with silence. The air was thick, as if no one dared to breathe. 3 alien war heroes had fallen before a single human woman, and now every soldier in the chamber felt something they had never known before. Fear? It was not the fear of weapons or power. It was the fear of the unknown, the kind that crept into the bones. The legends of Deathworlders were no longer myths whispered in secret corners. They had walked into the hall and proved themselves with terrifying ease. The alien generals shifted uneasily in their high seats. Some clenched their fists, refusing to accept the humiliation. Others stared at the humans with wide eyes, their thoughts racing. They had prepared for arrogance, for weakness, for fragility. But what they saw instead were predators disguised in human skin. The young woman who had defeated the 3 warriors stood calm, her breathing slow, her hands steady, her face showing no emotion. She looked less like a victor and more like a storm waiting to rise again. That stillness was more frightening than rage, because only the strongest fighters carried such silence within them. Among the crowd of alien soldiers, whispers began to spread. "They should not be this strong," one voice said. "They move like shadows," another replied. Some leaned closer to each other, lowering their voices as if afraid the humans could hear their thoughts. "They fight without fear," someone whispered. "No, not without fear," another corrected. "They fight as if fear belongs to them, as if they own it." The scarred human man stepped forward, standing beside the young woman. He scanned the hall with eyes that seemed to measure every alien soldier one by one. When his gaze passed over them, they felt exposed. It was like being seen not as warriors, but as prey. And no soldier in the galaxy was prepared for that feeling. One alien captain, his armor lined with gold, rose to his feet in anger. "This is dishonor," he shouted. "They use tricks, speed, and deception. They're not truly strong." His words carried across the hall, but his voice cracked with doubt. The scarred human tilted his head, his lips curling into the smallest hint of a smile. It was not a friendly smile, but one that promised danger. The captain's voice faltered, and he sat down again, his anger drowned by something colder than shame. The commander with silver skin raised his hand again. "We cannot deny what we have witnessed," he said slowly. "But we must understand it. We must learn why humans are able to do what no other species can." His words were careful, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. Even he, a leader of countless campaigns, had felt the chill of their presence. The aliens had fought many wars. They had conquered worlds, crushed rebellions, and faced species that wielded strange powers. But never before had their champions fallen so quickly. And never before had they felt fear not from monsters, but from beings who looked so ordinary. The young woman finally broke her silence. Her voice was calm, but it struck the hall like thunder. "You see our bodies and think they are fragile," she said, "but you do not see the truth of Deathworld." Her eyes swept across the alien soldiers. "On our world, the air itself can kill. The beasts hunt us every day, and the land tests us with every step we take." She paused, her words sinking deep into every ear. "To survive such a place, we learn to fight with more than strength. We learn to fight with will." The alien soldiers lowered their eyes. Some clenched their weapons. Others shifted uncomfortably. They had fought enemies who used technology, enemies who used numbers, enemies who used rage. But humans carried something else entirely. They carried survival itself. The scarred man spoke next, his voice deep and rough. "You think battles are won with weapons," he said, "but battles are won with the heart, and ours does not break." His hand closed into a fist, and the sound echoed louder than it should have. 100 alien soldiers flinched without meaning to. The fear in their eyes could no longer be hidden. The young woman turned away, stepping back to her group of humans. She said nothing more, for nothing more needed to be said. The silence of the aliens was proof enough. They had seen strength before, but they had never seen this. The galaxy's greatest soldiers, heroes of countless wars, now sat frozen under the weight of fear. That night, when the hall finally emptied, whispers carried through every corridor of the Empire. The soldiers did not speak of victory. They did not speak of honor. They spoke of the humans, of the way they moved, the way they looked, the way they fought. They spoke of the fear they felt in their bones. And they wondered what it would mean when Deathworld warriors marched not as six, but as armies. The alien commanders could not sleep that night. The war hall had witnessed humiliation that none of them could erase. 3 of their finest champions had fallen to a single human woman. And even now, the whispers of fear spread through the ranks like a sickness. To restore control, the High Council gathered in a chamber of steel and glass. Around the circular table sat generals, admirals, and strategists, their faces hard but their voices uncertain. "We must test them again," one general demanded. "Duels prove nothing. We must send them into a place where skill and instinct cannot save them." Another leaned forward, his voice low. "There is the Black Zone," he suggested. "The wastelands of Raltor, where storms tear metal apart and beasts hunt anything that breathes." At this, the chamber fell quiet. The Black Zone was infamous even among alien soldiers. Those who entered rarely returned. If the humans survived, it would be proof of their strength. If they failed, the shame would be erased. The decision was made. The next morning, the humans were summoned to the Great Hall once more. The silver-skinned commander stood tall, his voice carrying through the chamber. "Deathworlders," he said, "you will face a true trial, a mission where no being has ever returned alive." He paused for effect, his gaze sweeping the crowd. "If you survive the Black Zone, then we will believe your legends." The hall erupted in cheers, the soldiers desperate to see human pride shattered. The humans stood silent, their faces calm, their eyes steady. The young woman leader stepped forward, her voice quiet. "Then show us the way," she said. Within hours, they were transported across the barren skies of Raltor. The shuttle trembled as it pierced the storm clouds. Lightning danced across the windows, and the pilot whispered a silent prayer. Below them stretched endless wastelands, jagged black rock, rivers of ash, and storms that cut the land apart like blades. Even the aliens aboard shifted nervously, but the humans only stared, their eyes narrowing as if they were studying prey. The shuttle landed on the edge of the wasteland. The doors opened, and the storm wind howled like a beast. The 6 humans stepped onto the dark soil, their boots sinking slightly into the cracked ground. The commander's voice came through the intercom. "Survive 3 days in the Black Zone," he said. "Do that, and your place among warriors will be acknowledged." The shuttle lifted away, leaving them alone. The storm swallowed the sky, turning day into night. The humans moved quickly, forming a tight group, their eyes scanning the horizon. Every sound mattered here. Every shadow could mean death. It did not take long for the first test to appear. From the black sands, massive creatures emerged, their bodies armored like stone, their jaws filled with rows of teeth. They screeched, shaking the air, and charged. The scarred man stepped forward with nothing but a metal shard he had picked from the ground. He moved with speed and precision, dodging the beast's strike. In seconds, he drove the shard into the creature's eye, dropping it with a thunderous crash. The others fought with equal ferocity, using rocks, broken metal, and their bare hands. No weapons, no shields, only instinct and will. The beasts fell one by one, their blood soaking into the black soil. The young woman stood at the center, her command sharp and clear, guiding each strike. Within minutes, the wasteland was quiet again. The storm winds carried away the scent of blood. From high above, alien drones watched the scene. The footage streamed back to the council. Generals leaned forward, their faces pale. "These are not soldiers," one whispered. "They are survivors of a world harsher than anything we can imagine." As night fell, the humans found shelter inside a cave. But even there, danger did not rest. The ground shook as another storm rolled over the land. Rocks split apart, lightning carved through stone, and poisonous gas seeped through the cracks. Yet the humans did not panic. They sealed the cave with broken stone, used cloth to filter the air, and sat together in silence, conserving their strength. For 3 days, the Black Zone threw everything it had at them: storms, beasts, poison, and hunger. But each time the humans adapted, each time they endured. When the shuttle returned on the third morning, the 6 walked out of the wasteland alive, bloodied but unbroken. The soldiers who had once cheered now stared in silence. The commanders who had doubted now clenched their jaws. The humans stood at the edge of the platform, their eyes cold and sharp. The young woman raised her head and spoke. "You call this impossible," she said. "We call this survival." The words echoed through the chamber like thunder. And for the first time, the alien war heroes lowered their eyes. Because deep inside, they all knew the truth. If humans could survive the Black Zone, then nothing in the galaxy could break them. The Black Zone should have broken them. That was what the alien generals believed. But when the humans walked out alive, calm and steady, the Empire's soldiers felt a chill deeper than any storm. 3 days of impossible survival had not weakened them. It had hardened them. The War Council gathered again, their voices sharp and restless. "We cannot let fear rule the ranks," one general barked. "Our warriors look at humans and hesitate. Hesitation is death." Another slammed his fist on the table, his eyes burning. If survival proves them strong, then battle must humble them. The decision was made. Not one duel, not one trial, but a full contest of skill. The humans would face the Empire's greatest heroes in a simulated war. A battlefield of steel and fire would decide the truth. When the announcement reached the soldiers, the hall shook with excitement. The shame of past defeats could be erased. The pride of alien war heroes could be restored. But deep inside, whispers of doubt remained. Would even this be enough? The battlefield was prepared inside a vast dome. Metal towers, burning wrecks, and shifting terrain created a war zone designed to break any opponent. Dozens of alien champions stood ready, armored in steel, armed with weapons forged from centuries of war. At their head was General Karath, a legend whose victories numbered in the hundreds. He raised his blade to the sky, his voice thunderous. Today, the Deathworlders fall. Across from them, the 6 humans stood with nothing but simple gear, scraps of metal, makeshift shields, and sharp eyes that studied every corner. They did not roar, they did not cheer. They only watched, waiting like hunters in silence. The battle began with a storm of energy blasts. Explosions ripped across the field, fire and smoke rising. Alien soldiers advanced in perfect formation, their weapons glowing bright. But the humans moved like shadows, splitting apart, vanishing behind wreckage. Their movements were not trained like the aliens. They were instinctive, wild, and unpredictable. The scarred man struck first. He appeared from the smoke, dragging one alien down with a chokehold. The enemy fell before he even fired a shot. The human disappeared again before the others could react. Whispers spread through the watching crowd. "He moves too fast, too silent." The young woman led 2 of her group through the wreckage. With nothing but broken steel pipes, they disarmed heavily armed warriors. Each strike was sharp, precise, and merciless. One alien fell with his own weapon turned against him. Another stumbled as she shattered his visor with a single blow. On the far side, 2 humans climbed the tower. From above, they dropped stones and metal shards, creating chaos in the alien lines. The soldiers scattered, breaking their own formation. General Karath roared in anger, his pride burning. "Hold your ground," he shouted. But the ground itself seemed to betray them, as humans struck from every side. It was not just strength, it was cunning. Aliens fought with power, with skill, with order. Humans fought with survival, with chaos, with instincts honed by a world that never gave mercy. The difference was terrifying. One alien, Captain, swung his blade at the Scarman. The human caught the weapon in both hands, sparks flying as he twisted. With a sharp movement, the blade snapped. The captain stumbled back in shock. The human struck once, and the captain fell, unconscious. General Korath himself charged at the young woman. Their clash shook the field, blade against bare arms, steel against flesh. The general's strikes were heavy, his strength unmatched among his kind. But she moved with calm precision, dodging, countering, striking in small, sharp blows. The longer the duel lasted, the clearer it became. The alien was fighting with rage, the human was fighting with control, and control always wins. Finally, with one motion, she struck his blade aside and placed her hand against his throat. He froze, breathing hard, sweat dripping from his brow. She could have ended him, but she stepped back, letting him live. The silence of mercy was louder than any victory cry. The dome fell quiet. Dozens of alien champions lay defeated. The humans stood tall, bruised, bloodied, but unbroken. Around them, the watching soldiers sat frozen, their pride shattered. The council could not speak. Their greatest war heroes had fallen. Not once, not twice, but again and again. And the galaxy's strongest army now stared at 6 humans with eyes filled not with anger, but with fear. The young woman raised her voice, soft yet sharp. "Strength is not pride," she said. "Strength is survival, and we are Deathworlders." The words sank deep. Pride had broken. Fear had risen. And in that moment, every alien soldier knew their legends had been replaced. For the true legends now walked in human form. The dome of battle still smelled of smoke. Broken weapons and shattered pride lay scattered across the steel floor. Alien war heroes who once stood as symbols of strength now knelt in silence. And the 6 humans stood tall among them, breathing slow, their eyes sharp, their bodies marked with blood but unshaken. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy's most feared warriors had been humbled. And it was not by gods, nor machines, nor vast armies. It was by 6 humans from a death world. The hall that once roared with cheers now sat in heavy silence. No one dared to laugh, no one dared to speak, because deep inside every alien soldier, one truth had taken root. Humanity was not just strong, there was something greater. The generals gathered again in their council chamber. Their faces were pale, their voices low. "They fight like no one else," one admitted. "They are not bound by training, by tradition, by fear," another added. "They are unpredictable," a third whispered. And unpredictability is more dangerous than strength. Across the empire, word spread like fire. From soldiers to scholars, from cities to outposts, the story grew. Humans, the Deathworlders, had defeated champions, survived wastelands, and shattered armies. What was once legend had become undeniable truth. Alien civilians whispered the tales in markets and schools. Children drew images of humans on walls, some in fear, others in awe. The humans did not boast. They did not claim thrones or demand respect. They simply stood together, silent and steady. And that silence carried more power than any roar of victory, because silence belonged to predators, and the galaxy knew it. The young woman leader walked through the alien capital with her group. Eyes followed them from every corner. Soldiers stood straighter when they passed. Citizens lowered their voices. Even the highest commanders gave them space. She did not smile. She did not wave. She only walked with calm certainty, as if the entire galaxy was nothing more than another trial. The scarred man walked at her side, his gaze sharp and unyielding. Every alien who met his eyes quickly looked away, because in those eyes they saw something they had never faced before. Not hatred, not anger, but a quiet promise of danger. It was the look of a survivor who had faced death too many times and no longer feared it. The council tried to regain control. They held meetings, planned strategies, whispered of limits. But none of it mattered, because the soldiers no longer looked to their generals for strength. They looked to the humans. One evening, as the sun of the alien world burned red against the horizon, the young woman stood before a group of alien recruits. They had been sent to watch, to learn, to understand. She spoke only once, her words short. "Strength is not about power," she said. "Strength is about survival, and survival demands will." The recruits bowed their heads. They had been trained by masters, but in that moment, they realized they were standing before something greater. The Empire's archives began to record new pages. Historians who once wrote of alien heroes now added names of humans. The words Deathworlder and legend began to appear together. Alien poets sang of the day pride was broken. Alien artists painted scenes of humans standing tall among fallen champions. And yet the humans remained unchanged. They did not seek glory. They did not crave fame. They only prepared for what might come next. Because to them, this was not triumph. This was survival. And survival never ends. The whispers across the galaxy grew louder. Some feared humanity, believing they were a threat that must be contained. Others admired them, hoping to learn their ways. But all agreed on one truth. Humans were no longer myths. They were legends in the making. The young woman looked at the stars that night. Her voice was quiet, but her words carried to her companions. "This is only the beginning," she said. The scarred man nodded once, his eyes fixed on the dark horizon. The others tightened their grips on their makeshift weapons. And in that silence, a storm was born. A storm that would one day shake the entire galaxy. The galaxy would remember that season forever. The halls of the Empire, once filled with pride and laughter, now carried whispers of fear and respect. Songs of victory once belonged only to alien war heroes, but now they were shared with the names of 6 humans. And from that day, history itself began to change. Alien scribes filled their records with careful words. On this day, the Deathworlders rose, one scroll read. On this day, pride was broken, and legends were remade, another added. No one dared erase the shame, for the truth was too powerful to be hidden. The story spread across planets, across fleets, across the very heart of the Empire. Children in alien schools whispered about the humans. Some feared them, drawing pictures of monsters in human form. Others admired them, dreaming to fight with the same courage. Even among the generals, whose pride had been shattered, there was a secret respect that burned behind their silence. The humans did not seek thrones, nor demanded worship. They lived simply as they always had. But in every movement, in every calm word, the galaxy saw a reflection of something greater. A reminder that strength was not built in luxury or in victory. Strength was born in survival, and survival had a human face. The young woman who led them became a figure of quiet legend. She never shouted, she never claimed victory, but the way she stood, the way her eyes pierced through commanders and soldiers alike, left marks deeper than wounds. The scarred man, her shadow and protector, carried his silence like a weapon. Aliens said his eyes held storms, and no warrior dared meet them for long. The council tried to shape the tale. They declared the humans allies. They offered them medals. They tried to weave the story into one of unity. But the truth was stronger than words. Everyone knew what had happened. The humans had not come as allies. They had come as survivors. And survivors need no permission to be legends. Across the stars, other species listened. Races who once laughed at humanity now paused. Races who once saw Earth as a fragile world now wondered if it was a cradle of gods. The legends grew faster than light. Deathworlders, they whispered. The children of a killer world. The ones who make war heroes tremble. In the Empire's capital, a great mural was painted. It showed the 6 humans standing tall in the dome, surrounded by broken weapons and fallen champions. At first, the generals tried to stop it, but the people demanded it remain, for it was not just a painting, it was history. On the night before their departure, the 6 humans stood together under alien skies. The city glowed with lights, but the streets were silent. Everyone watched from windows and rooftops. They did not cheer, they did not shout. They only watched in silence, the same silence the humans carried within themselves. The young woman looked at the stars, her voice low. "We came as strangers," she said. "We leave as something else." The scarred man nodded, his hands resting on his knees. "We leave as a warning," he added. The others smiled faintly, knowing the truth of his words. When the humans finally stepped onto their ship, the air felt heavy, as if the galaxy itself held its breath. And when the engines roared and the ship lifted into the dark sky, every alien who saw it knew they were witnessing the rise of something far greater than themselves. The legacy of the Deathworlders had been written, not in stone, not in steel, but in fear and respect carved into the hearts of soldiers and citizens alike. From that day forward, whenever alien war heroes told their stories, there was always a pause where silence carried the memory of humans. And in that silence lived the greatest truth of all. The galaxy had many empires, many armies, many heroes, but only one legend could not be erased. The legend of Deathworld warriors, the humans who came as guests and left as legends.